Good morning, everybody. It's 8:06 here in New York City, 8:06 up in snowy northern New York where Michelle is, and 7:06 in Honduras, where Donald Trump has pardoned the notorious former president of Honduras, who once said, and I quote, "Let's stuff the drugs right up the noses of the gringos," that would be us. He said once, as he allegedly bragged, as he lined his pockets with millions of dollars in bribes and turned his country what could be accurately called a narco state. However, this is the man who Donald Trump has now pardoned, Juan Orlando Hernandez.
Yep.
Who was sentenced to 45 years in prison for creating a, quote, cocaine superhighway to the United States. And Michelle, this brings me to what the hell we're doing in Venezuela.
Yeah.
This also brings me to what we talked about on our daily dispatch yesterday, what the hell we're doing in the federal district of New Jersey with Alina Habba, where the fact that they're trying to shove her illegally down the throats of the state of New Jersey means that all of the prosecutions of drug dealers, presumably peddling in the stuff that Pete Hegseth is blowing out of the water, although there's no evidence that those fishing boats had any of the stuff in the water, but let's assume that they did, that stuff eventually gets to us in places like New Jersey, and then federal prosecutors presumably would prosecute drug dealers who are peddling that stuff to children and to others on the streets of Patterson, on the streets of Newark, on the streets of Camden, and in the streets of very expensive, wealthy places like Princeton. I don't want to make this just a city problem, an urban problem.
No, but it's also like a rich kid suburban problem. I mean, like, let's be honest.
Cocaine is a rich, well, I don't know what's on those boats in Venezuela because nobody knows. But,
right.
But this guy, who Trump just pardoned, was peddling cocaine, which is a drug that is widely used by people who can afford it. And so, you know, when you're, the hypocrisy is just astounding. And my point about the Southern District of New Jersey is, the District of New Jersey is, it is completely stopped all prosecutions of anything, including prosecuting those drug dealers. And I got to tell you, I have had friends and still have friends right now who are battling horrible drug addictions.
Yeah.
I mean, I know somebody right now who's in the throes of a horrible drug addiction. It has destroyed his life. It has destroyed his business. It has destroyed his friendships. It has destroyed every aspect of his life, his family relationships. And yet, no problem. This is the kind of stuff that Donald Trump, has no problem pardoning.
Right. I mean, I think about when I was in school, feeling very naive where I came from. But, some of the kids I went to school with, one of which shared with me and others that he had been in rehab in high school. And he was from suburban New Jersey, like a pretty white, affluent, upper crust area, went to a great high school, had a great childhood. And this stuff was just everywhere. And he was in rehab before he left high school. And now the thing with cocaine too, that really, really is like terrifying. And there was this story in the New York Times about this, like the amount of fentanyl that's ending up in like street drugs, and like all it takes is just one little thing and you just die. And so it's just, the stuff is being peddled to Americans. And, yes, we need to stop the flow of drugs into this country from wherever they're coming from. But the fact is that the Trump administration and Republicans don't care about the drugs. It's not the drugs. It's other stuff. It's the corruption is so baked into all of this.
Yep.
They don't care. This Venezuela thing is about regime change for oil. We've been here before. Except we don't have a terrorist attack, to kind of hide behind this time. We're just trying to like make stuff up. I wanted to play this this clip from CNN yesterday about this.
No, the strikes would not be legally above board under the law of armed conflict. More fundamentally, the law of armed conflict doesn't even apply here because we're not at war with Venezuela. And I know that because I'm a member of Congress and I haven't voted to declare war against Venezuela, nor will I. And this, Boris, is what obscures the deeper reality here. This president is trying to pull a blood for oil version 2.0. 20 years ago, a different Republican president told Americans that we had to effectuate regime change in a distant country in order to protect democracy and uphold national security, but really it was about the oil. And now, yet again, a Republican president is telling Americans that for national security, we have to topple a regime in a foreign country, but really it's about the oil. Venezuela has the biggest oil reserves in the world, and the president's oil friends want their hands on it. And so they're convincing him, and he is complying, to launch boots on the ground. And the question that I'm going to call for my Republican colleagues here in Congress is, are they going to be a rubber stamp for blood for oil version 2.0, or are they going to do something about it?
I mean, what else is there to say?
Right.
We are, and then look, over the last, I would say not 24, over the last 72 hours, maybe, this administration has gone from doing what is known as a double tap on September 2nd, which is they decided to blow up this boat in Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean. It was the first assault. The New York Times quotes Pete Hegseth as saying, kill them all.
Washington Post, yeah.
Washington Post, excuse me, kill them all. Kill everybody who's on that boat. A admiral who was the commander of this took the order literally, as one would.
Yep.
And killed them all, except that when he blew up this boat, again, with no authority whatsoever to do that, because we are not at war with Venezuela, those people were not putting us in immediate danger insofar as they were not aiming a missile at the United States. They were literally in their little boat in the Caribbean. I mean, little boat. And not a cargo vessel, just a little boat. This boat gets blown up. 2 people survive. They are clinging to the wreckage of the boat. Now, under any, and Lieutenant Colonel Urso, I think, is going to come on with us at some point today to clarify this, but I think, Michelle, I wasn't there for your conversation with her, but I watched it, and it strikes me that under any rules, either of civilian or military law, these people deserved to have their life spared.
Yes.
And instead, they did what is known as a double tap, which is that they killed the other 2 people.
Yep.
And that is murder.
Yes.
And when Donald Trump was asked about it, I don't know if we have that element, Michelle, but when Donald Trump was asked about it, he was like, yeah, I don't support that. I don't support that. I don't think Pete did that. Pete denies doing that. Well, Pete denied doing it, but then shortly thereafter posted a meme of a frog, sorry, of a what was he, a turtle named Franklin. A turtle. This is a Canadian. I'm sorry. I keep apologizing to our friends in Canada, but apparently this is a Canadian turtle.
It is. It is. And I just want to give some did I have the picture here? I had a tweet of these like lovely people in Canada who invented this turtle and everything. Let me just show you. First of all, oh, here it is. Okay. Franklin the Turtle was created by Canadians Paulette Bourgeois, writer, and I don't know if I said that right. I'm sorry. I don't speak French. Brenda Clark, illustrator, in the 1980s. The books were written to teach children about self-respect, friendship, courage, honesty, empathy, and overcoming fears. God bless. We love Franklin. He's adorable, teaching the kids. Pete Hegseth posted this yesterday. He had someone, and we talked about this, he had somebody use AI or something like that to recreate Franklin hanging from a helicopter, firing on little boats. And it says, Franklin targets narco-terrorists. Now, I can't find the actual clip, so I'm just going to play just a part of it. We put this up on our Instagram, just playing part of this here.
So you don't know if there was
You're talking about the two men?
the second strike to kill the two men.
No, he said he didn't do it. He said he never said
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
What do you?
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I mean, it's literally like Donald Trump's in the gaggle. He says, no. Pete said he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And then with a matter of hours, Pete tweeted that like an idiot, basically saying, yeah, I did it. And this is great. And then, I don't know if you saw this, Julie, Caroline Leavitt was asked about this in the briefing room yesterday. And this is what she said.
Jack. Thank you, Caroline. Following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
So she admits that this is what was done, and she's making the argument that it was legal. They're giving this the Epstein treatment. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know who he is. He's a bad guy. Oh, by the way, he didn't touch any of these girls. No, he seems fine. No, he was terrible, but the Democrats were there, but no Republicans. And then, no, I barely know the guy. And it's twisting themselves into whatever reality and whatever room that they're sitting in. And this is Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, telling the United States of America that, yes, this is all fine. It happened. And yet, now Hegseth is trying to throw the admiral under the bus. This is, let me just read this for anybody who's listening. He tweeted this yesterday, December 1st at 6:57 p.m. after a whole day news cycle of this being talked about. It says, let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made on the September 2 mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us when this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors. We mean it.
He doesn't have that is the biggest under the bus. So you have, listen, here's the deal. You are somebody in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You are a private. You are a captain. You are a general in the Army, or you're an admiral in the United States Navy. You have worked your way up to being an admiral in the United States Navy. You have devoted your life and service to this country. You have been trained for decades, because you don't become an admiral overnight. You have been trained for decades to accept orders without question from your superiors. Your commander-in-chief just threw his defense secretary under the bus. And that defense secretary just threw you under the bus.
Yep.
And then they have the temerity to question people like Mark Kelly and others who say, hey, maybe you shouldn't follow unlawful orders. Well, my friends in the military, here's why you shouldn't follow unlawful orders, because they're going to throw you under the bus.
Yes.
Buck does not stop with them. It stops with you.
Yes.
And you're going to be the one who's going to be brought up on charges, and you're going to be the one who's going to be tried, and you're going to be the one who's going to be in deep shit.
Yep.
Because you have blood on your hands, because Pete Hegseth said, kill them all, and you took him literally and seriously, the way you're taught to take your commanders. In the chain of command, Pete Hegseth is above this admiral. This idiot who I used to party with is above an admiral. And this idiot who's cosplaying a warrior, as he has cosplayed everything else in his life, is legitimately telling people to kill them all, and those people are taking him seriously. Whereas Pete Hegseth is playing with these little ships in the Caribbean, like he's sitting in a bathtub and he's a toddler, and he's playing with plastic boats that he's trying to sink by having them take on water. And launching play missiles at them in his bathtub like a little fucking 2-year-old. Sorry, Dad, but this is absurd. Pete Hegseth needs to be impeached, and then Pete Hegseth needs to be tried, and then Pete Hegseth needs to be imprisoned for murder for life.
Yep. Because I don't think that Pete Hegseth has really paid a price for any of the things that he's done in life, whether that be, you know, on the low end, sinking organizations that he was running and destroying their money and their bank accounts, all the way to sexually assaulting,
Allegedly.
allegedly sexually assaulting, allegedly raping women. And he's never had to pay a price for any of this. In fact, because he is a mediocre white guy, fails upward yet again, and then kisses Trump's ass and places himself in Trump's orbit. And then weekend Fox News guy gets appointed to be Secretary of Defense of the United States of America. It is outrageous.
And let me say this. Before he was a murderer, cosplaying as Secretary of Defense, which is what he is, Hegseth was a frat boy cosplaying a journalist in Fox News, which is where he and I worked together for a number of years. And the warrior ethos that Hegseth constantly talks about embodying is nothing I ever saw during my time hanging out with him on set, in green rooms, and in bars.
Yep.
And let me tell you who he was. He was the guy who was always having too good a time while his wife and children were somewhere in the Midwest, very far away from New York City. He was the guy who always talked a very good game about running a serious veteran nonprofit that turns out he ran into the ground. And interestingly, he was the guy who never seemed comfortable talking about Princeton, which is where he went to college and I had gone to high school. And I think it's fascinating because nothing about Pete ever added up, including the stuff that should have added up. Like, yes, he did go to Princeton.
Yeah.
But the problem is for Pete that he's been cosplaying somebody his entire life and he knows it. He knows he's a fraud. He has this weird desire to play dress up, whether he's dressing up as a guy who ran a nonprofit without telling anybody he ran it into the ground, whether he played dress up as a journalist, which involved him throwing axes on the corner of 48th and 6th at Fox and Friends, or whether he played dress up as a loving husband while having babies with other women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is anybody surprised that when he was put in charge of the world's most lethal military, he would deploy these weapons in a pretend war against a pretend enemy? No, none of this surprises me. Because now he's cosplaying a warrior. And what do warriors do? They kill. What do warriors with crusader crosses do? They kill anybody in their way, which is what the Crusaders did. Don't underestimate how much he's influenced by the Crusades.
Yes. There is a whole swath of the right-wing crazy male like manosphere that is obsessed with this shit. Like legit. I mean, and this is again where I invite people, and I know that this is a difficult thing. People don't want to do it. Go dive into the deep sea of right-wing media and these men, and you will hear the shit that they talk about. And this is the stuff that they are obsessed with. They are obsessed with it. And they hate women, and they all want to go to war so that they can touch each other. That's all they want. They want to touch each other, and they need reasons to do it. And the thing is like people, and I texted this to you last night. Hold on, I just got to pop up on my computer, asked me to like update my operating system. No. I was saying to you last night, Julie, that this is yet again proving my theory that the MAGA men didn't do musicals and now they're going to ruin the world. And he is just another example of this coming to life. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be a chef. And then I realized, no. I just wanted to be an actor so I could play all those things on TV. And that's what Pete Hegseth should have done. He should have gone to acting school and he would have been great. He would have been so theatrical, over the top, Liberace-esque. He would have been fantastic. He could have lived in Los Angeles or New York and had access to all the kegs in all the land. But instead, he went to Princeton and he was the editor-in-chief of a conservative student newspaper in which he oversaw the writings of students say and preach things like it's not rape if a young woman is unconscious. Or on the cover of this particular student newspaper, put the logo of a feminist organization on campus and put crosshairs over it. And on the next page, put that owl dead with blood coming out of its head. This is the kind of person Pete Hegseth is. And it's the kind of person he's always been. And he has to overcorrect. He has to overcorrect
That's exactly
all
right.
of the shortcomings, all of the things that makes him feel bad about himself. He overcorrects. And he has ended up in this point in his life. He's 44 years old. And he's had 3 wives and like 8 kids and like he's a disaster of a human being. And here's the other part too. And you know this because you worked with him and you've known the guy. He's mentally unwell. He's mentally unwell, and I think that you can see it in his eyes. If and JoJo and I remember we talked about this months ago. If you've ever dealt with someone who is an addict and an abuser, you look at the look in Pete Hegseth's eyes and you recognize it. You see it. You see the crazy in his eyes. He's a dangerous, unhinged, mentally unwell man. And the fact that he is at the helm of the United States military should scare the shit out of everyone. And I hope the foundation here is cracking enough that Donald Trump just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Because he almost pulled his nomination in the beginning and then didn't. He did the Kavanaugh and doubled down and was like, yelling about it, which Trump likes. But I don't know that he's going to want to deal with this anymore. I don't know. But for the sake of the country and for the state and for the sake of the rest of the world, this man needs to be impeached. Like you said, Julie, he needs to be impeached. He needs to be removed. He needs to be tried, convicted, and he needs to spend the rest of his life in jail.
So I think you nailed exactly what this is. He overcorrects his shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously insecure about himself and his time in the military. He didn't kill enough people there, so now he's going to kill as many people as he can here.
Mm-hmm.
And who are these people? They're just some little brown people on a boat.
Yeah. Meaningless to him.
They're meaningless.
Right.
And at least back in the Crusader days, and let me just add that I had done Piers Morgan's show maybe about a year ago now. And I mentioned, it was actually during Hegseth's nomination. So yeah, it was almost a year ago. And I had mentioned the Crusader Cross and how that was a bad sign because the Crusaders killed people indiscriminately on their way to liberate the Holy Land, including the people who were living in said Holy Land, which were Muslims and Jews. And I still, to this day, get death threats from weird pro-Crusader weirdos, I don't know how else to describe it, on Twitter.
You're weirdos.
I mean, to this day, I said this on some random show. It wasn't like I went on like 60 Minutes and talked about it. On some random show in January or February. And to this day, as recently, I swear to God, as yesterday, I checked my Twitter. I really don't check my Twitter all that often, but I check my Twitter. And what do I see? You don't know anything about history. You blah, blah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We were getting those kinds of comments, by the way, on clips I was posting of Jacqueline, Lieutenant Colonel Urso, being like, "You don't know what you're talking about," and I was like, "Munga."
No, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So, but my point is that it's the people who always do this kind of stuff are the people who are most insecure, and the overcorrection is such a great way to put it. And listen, Pete was a drinker. I've hung out with Pete. I would go home, Pete would stay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep drinking.
He's sick.
And you don't just stop one day. I wish you could. As I said, I have had friends who've had addictions. I've had friends who've had drug addictions. I've had friends who've been alcoholics.
Yeah. I lost a friend to alcoholism. It literally killed him at the same age, by the way, that Pete Hegseth is now.
And he died. I had a very good friend, still do, who was an alcoholic. And it took a long time for him to admit the problem. And then he went to rehab and he stayed. And it was an inpatient thing. And there was no texting. There was no calling. There was no work. Like, it's a disease. I don't I don't degrade it. In fact, I applaud people who acknowledge they have a
Yeah.
disease and
And
get
it's one day at a
treatment
time for the rest of your life.
the
I
rest
mean,
of your life.
it is a lifetime struggle to try to remain sober. And so in that way, it's like I almost have a little something, as a human being. I'm like, that sucks for him. But at the same time, I don't think this is a man who's ever looked in the mirror and admitted to himself that he has a problem. And I think that he has hurt a lot of people around him, including probably, well, we know women, allegedly. Who knows what it's like to live in that house with him? My God. Can you imagine? I can't.
I will say this. I don't think he I do think he's looked in the mirror, Pete. I think Pete
Yeah.
is not stupid. I just want to
No,
say
I don't
that.
think he's done.
I think Pete has looked in the mirror, and I think Pete did not like what he saw, and that's when Pete
Mm,
started overcorrecting.
and that's when he should have gone to
Therapy.
dance class also.
Right.
Maybe.
Or dance class for Michelle. For
I'm
Michelle,
just saying, like,
Michelle, I think about therapy. Michelle thinks about dance class, but the point
because you
is,
know
like,
what it is? They're so tightly wound. And yes, therapy. I mean, you know what it is? It's the therapy and expression. It's the freedom that men of his ilk, the freedom that they don't allow themselves, or maybe they didn't grow up in homes that allowed themselves to express their emotions in a healthy way, or to talk about what they're going through, or to ask questions about people maybe who look different than them, or to try to forge relationships with people who look different than them. And Pete Hegseth, I don't think, has explored any of that in his life. And so he just has gone to a bottle, and he's gone to rage, and he's gone to anger to try to fill that void inside of himself. And so I say dance class kind of jokingly, but not though, because it's expression. And if he has to pick up a paintbrush, like, he doesn't have any sort of creative or healthy outlet for all of this anger inside of him. And that is a recipe for danger with a person like that. And this is, I think, a bigger problem we're dealing with in this country is this, toxic masculinity. And I say that as like men who are raised to never want to compete in healthy ways with women at school or anywhere, or see women as equals, or see people who have darker skin than them as equals, and like they just spend their lives like this. And it's all just, he's just an angry white guy who's just so mediocre and is so mad about it. He's
you
so
know,
mad.
one of the advantages of raising a kid in New York City,
Yeah.
um, is that my son has friends who, and it's not like it's not like I was like, you have to have a friend who looks like, basically they're a Benetton ad, but it's not like I was like, pick one Asian kid, pick one black
Right.
kid, pick
But
one,
that's just
like,
what it's like
it's just what
living in
it's
New
like
York.
around here,
Yeah.
right? It's just like what it's like
You
around
don't
here.
even think about it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend that at the age of 13 they're not constantly like being idiots with each other about that
Other
stuff.
kids. Yeah.
But the point is, like, it's not a weird thing
Yeah.
to have people who are your equals
Hmm.
in your mind, who are of different races and different religions,
Yeah.
and
Religion too. Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
religion too, of course. I'm not going to pretend, he goes to private
Pete
school. I'm not
Hegseth, America's greatest Christian. Like, it's just,
Yeah, like
it's so ridiculous.
if one of my son's friends came back to reunions one day with a big Crusader cross, I think everybody would be like,
Isn't that like the cross that his fellow National Guards people like flagged? It was one of
flag.
his it was one of his tattoos that he
It
flagged, and
was that.
he was not able to. He was not allowed to participate in the inauguration of Joe Biden after January 6th when they brought in all the National Guard, because it was deemed extremist. And then that guy became Secretary of Defense. Like, what? It's just, and then I think about how he has been at the helm of destroying so much of the diversity that, by the way, makes the military as strong and capable
Yes.
as it is. Women, people of color, immigrants, and he has gone out of his way to destroy the careers of so many women. remove all trans people from the military. I'm like, these people are willing to stand between you and a bullet for this country, and you're going to kick them out because you don't like who they are. Like, seriously? And that's the country we are now. And I saw in the comments, I think it was Rosie, everything at Rosie. I think you mentioned something about my sister-in-law. I just want to correct the record. Said that she lost her job. She didn't. A lot of her former colleagues have had that happen to her, but she retired last summer, the summer of 2024, after 20 years in the United States Marine Corps. She was in Okinawa. She was in Iraq. She was in Afghanistan. She was stationed in Virginia. She taught in Annapolis for 3 years with Amy McGrath, actually, funny enough. So she's been all over. She has served the country. She's been in combat zones for 20 years. But anyways, I just wanted to correct the record. No worries. I just thought, okay, my bad, misunderstood. She is a boss. She is a boss. But a lot of her friends and former colleagues are in the crosshairs, so to speak, in the military right now, as women, as part of the LGBTQ community. And it's a really awful time to be a woman and to be a minority in the military. It's bad. It's bad. So,
look, this is going to affect our combat readiness much longer than these jokers are going to be in power, presuming that they leave in 2028, which of course neither you nor I believe they will do willingly. But what this is going to do is effectively have a generation of people enter the military who are not necessarily qualified to serve in the military, and on the other hand, take deeply qualified people and get rid of them.
It's so true. Michelle CD's 4722, if you're listening to this show and not watching it, she wrote, as a former psychotherapist, I can tell you that often it's the people who need therapy that never go. And it's the people living with those people who get therapy.
And as a former therapy patient, I can tell you that is absolutely true.
It's also just, I mean, it's just a healthy thing, I think, for everybody to do, especially in this day and age when the stigma of dealing with your feelings is dissipating. But again, like, yeah, Pete Hegseth, can you imagine? His poor kids, man, I can't even think about it. And a couple more things just before, and apparently that, this story is not going away, and I think it's going to explode into something much bigger and deeper, in my opinion. But just a couple tweets here I wanted to throw up. George Conway making a great legal point as well. He wrote this morning at 7:55 a.m., December 2nd. He said, "It's great that reporting on the double tap has spotlighted the abject criminality of this administration. But don't forget, Venezuela is not waging war on America or Americans. And the men killed were not combatants. The first strike was every bit as illegal as the second." And in terms of that admiral that he's now throwing under the bus, Chris Murphy makes a great point. He responds to Pete Hegseth saying, the whole thing about how the true American hero and blah, blah, blah. Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, said, it's the opposite of the buck stops here. He is selling out Admiral Bradley and sending chills down the spines of his chain of command, who now know their boss will sell them out if he is taking the heat. A case study in how not to lead.
It's also a case study, Michelle, in, as I said before, what those members of Congress said about accepting illegal orders and fulfilling illegal orders.
Yep.
Admiral Bradley did something that was illegal because he was ordered to do that by his commander.
Yes. And there was an admiral, if I'm not mistaken, that quit before this because he was uncomfortable with the things that were going on.
A black admiral, the head of Southern.
Yeah, he was like, I'm getting out of
here.
here.
Kind of like, it's interesting who quit, right? I bring up the fact that he's black because here's a man who got to the very top of his field again, who probably was also made to feel like he got there because of DEI, which is preposterous, because I don't think the military promotes you based on anything other than your qualifications and ability to. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that he accepted what is an illegal order
Mm-hmm.
from his commander. That commander said, kill them all. He fulfilled it. And now they're throwing him under the bus, although by last night they were actually throwing Franklin the turtle under the bus.
Well, which I don't know. Did I throw this up yet? I don't think that the Franklin Kids Can Press, the publishing company, responded to this. And they put out a tweet and other posts across social media that said Franklin the Turtle is a beloved Canadian icon who has inspired generations of children and stands for kindness, empathy, and inclusivity. We strongly condemn any denigrating, violent, or unauthorized use of Franklin's name or image, which directly contradicts these values.
I don't know if they have a lawsuit for copyright.
They should. They should.
But they should. They should just do it on principle.
Yeah, just like you won't win or whatever because whatever.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
America.
Yeah,
but regardless, like again, this is who they are. They're horrible. They're just horrible. And I, just to echo what you said earlier, like we're constantly, apologizing to our friends to the north. And honestly, I'm sorry again. I'm really just sorry. Maybe I'm sure it seemed empty, but like genuinely, it's Canadians and your culture are lovely. And I know I'm repeating myself here again, but like having grown up on the Canadian border, like Canadian culture was such a part of my childhood. And this makes me so angry. This stuff makes me so angry. The disrespect that our government has given the country of Canada is awful. Is just awful. And I feel bad about it. So, yeah.
Well, and on that note, let's move on, although I'm sure we'll be back talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Later today.
Never going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got, Michelle?
Well, we have Kash Patel.
Oh, that's right. We have Kash Patel.
Let's talk about our friend Kash Patel, FBI director. So Courier, I think it was Courier News, and I had seen murmurs of this around. I took screenshots of this, so I apologize for the timestamps and whatnot on them. But scrutiny over Patel's government jet use. Okay. It says I took the screenshot at 12:07 last night. So the FBI director's use of the Bureau's $60 million jet to attend UFC matches, hunting outings, a Scotland golf trip, and more has raised questions over whether Patel is misusing resources on the taxpayer's dime. Raising questions? Okay. Patel has also used SWAT protection for his girlfriend, country singer Alexis Wilkins. Former FBI senior executive Christopher O'Leary told MS Now that agents are secretly calling Patel the Make-A-Wish director due to his jet use. The moniker refers to the Make-A-Wish charity that grants dream experiences to children with critical illnesses. Patel's Make-A-Wish nickname comes amid new reporting that Patel refused to leave his plane without an FBI raid jacket on after he arrived in Utah in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's killing. Agents eventually found a female special agent's jacket for him, and I believe it didn't have like the Velcro patches on it, and he like refused to put it on because it didn't have all the things that were on it. Here is another man who wants to play dress up. He wants to play dress up, and he wants to play with his toys, and he doesn't want to earn anything, and he doesn't want to play by the rules. Who's dramatic. And listen, he was asked about this too. Again, let me just play this clip here.
Talk about the jet. You flew on a Department of Justice jet to visit your girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, performing at an event at State College. Were any rules broken?
No. And I'm shocked that people would, well, I guess I'm not shocked anymore. Mm-hmm. This FBI, under my leadership, changed the FBI plane use requirements. So that we could save the taxpayer money. I am the only director to ever mandate the use of government airfields. The prior directors utilized airfields like Reagan National to the tune of $4 million for takeoffs and landings. And so I think this is another distraction from the work that we are doing here at the FBI.
This is asking why he's taking a government plane to visit his girlfriend and give federally funded security protection to her, who's like, what, 28 years old or whatever, and also just like shouldn't have it no matter what. This is all a distraction, Julie, and
But
we should really keep our eye on the ball because this is all,
But it's
this
very
is
interesting
important.
because we had an Afghan national who came here, rightly so, I believe, because he had worked with the CIA in Afghanistan and risked his life. Anyway, he went nuts, drove from Bellingham, Washington, all the way to Washington, D.C., and killed 2 National Guardsmen last week. And Kristi Noem went, this is relevant to Kash Patel, went on Meet the Press on Sunday. And this is what she said. She said, "We believe he was radicalized," talking about this shooter, "since he's been here in this country. We do believe it was through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him." Now, speaking of throwing somebody under the bus, first they said it was Joe Biden's fault that he came here. Then
Yeah,
people
it's the
pointed out,
Epstein treatment once
right,
again.
then
Yes.
they pointed out, then people pointed out that, wait a second, you guys are the ones who gave him asylum, not Joe Biden. So now they have to come up with another excuse as to why this happened on their watch. She, the Secretary of Homeland Security, is effectively absolving herself of any responsibility by saying, oh, you know what? He was radicalized when he got here. Who'd be responsible
Right.
for tracking those radicalized people? Oh, that would be Kash Patel. But Kash Patel is too busy providing protection for his country girlfriend, country singing girlfriend,
Yeah.
while gutting counterintelligence units in the FBI that would potentially be tracking the radicalization of people like this. I mean, literally, counterterrorism is exactly what would be investigating and tracking people who get radicalized and perform terroristic acts.
Yes.
But nobody's pointing that out. I have not heard that anywhere.
No.
And it's fascinating how first it was Biden, couldn't be Biden because they gave him asylum. Then, oh, wait, was it Noam? Why would they give her asylum? This is an immigration thing. All of a sudden, Noam's like, what's it? We're shutting down immigration for basically everywhere now. Anybody who's got brown skin, you're not welcome here anymore.
Yep.
And except for with the exception
Except for the Afrikaners.
Afrikaners, the white South Africans, they can come, but
They're being oppressed because
but Black people from South Africa, no, thank you.
Right.
And again, right? Like
you have to laugh
again, if you're Kash Patel, you're looking up at Kristi Noem, you're like, oh shit, I'm the one being thrown under the bus here.
Right. They're all gonna, right. It's that Spider-Man theme where they're all like in a circle pointing at each other.
Yep.
And listen, and that's the thing. They're loyal to Donald Trump, but not to each other. And because they know how this story goes. And they're all, again, so terribly unqualified. So they cannot hold themselves up by experience or decades of service or anything like this. They are there literally because Donald Trump thinks that they look good there. That's it. And Kash Patel also, just from what we know about Donald Trump, I'm sure fulfills some sort of like quota for him. He's like, okay, well, we have Kash there and he's also been, good on the podcast and whatever. And then we've seen the picture of him with the cowboy boots and the camera up at his crotch. Like, these people are so ridiculous. And this man is the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Like, it's just, at least Ratcliffe, who's running the CIA is like, I don't know, like sort of closer. I mean, it's a low ass bar, but
he has a podcaster. Right. He's got, it's insane. I mean, you think
it's like
about
Bing Bong. He's another one.
Yeah. You think about who,
Bing Bong was Secret Service.
Bing Bong was in the Secret Service. Congratulations. Yeah. You're in the Secret Service. Like, great. Okay.
Like, I mean, a great, thank you, but that doesn't qualify you to be the deputy director of the FBI. Like, again, like they just put people places. That would be like me walking into the White House and being like, Joe Biden, I want to run the Department of Education. Michelle, do you have any experience in education? No. Did you go to school for education? No. I went to school. Great. You go. And like, that's just how he does it. Like, that's how he picks people.
He
He
doesn't.
doesn't care. It's all central casting. It's all who looks good here and where. And like it's Kash Patel is a scary individual. And his eyes give me the creepies. His eyes are going everywhere all the time. And then Christy Nome and her like pillowed face ridiculousness. And she's another one. Like I really, I try not to talk about people, but like the fact that her looks are what they are and how they have changed to be what they are is part of the package of like her presentation and the hundreds of millions of dollars she's spending on film crews to follow her around and make ads of her riding her horse in front of Mount Rushmore, and then she goes on TV and she like it's there's a reason South Park has been the one show that has been able to make fun of them in the most effective way. And I invite everyone to go watch the Christy Nome episode and specifically go watch the not the Kash Patel, the Pete Hegseth episode from this past week, because this was written and produced before all of this happened, or before we knew about it rather. So, it's just.
And you're asking, where's Tulsi? Probably hanging out with the Russians.
Oh yeah, like
that's where she's been.
Right. She's like right now, supposedly. I mean, compared to everyone else, pretty non-controversial. She's not running her mouth. She's not like on TV or making a fool out of herself. So she can just kind of operate in the shadows. And just so people know, I had that thing up about Kash Patel here, and this in the fine print here says, according to Alpha 99. FBI Director Kash Patel arrived. This was the day after Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah. He arrived at the airport on September 11th. And then Alpha 99 said that after his plane landed, Kash Patel would not disembark from the plane without an FBI raid jacket. Note, based on Alpha 99's reporting, Kash Patel apparently did not have his own FBI raid jacket with him and refused to step from the plane without wearing one. They went on to say many FBI agents and some personnel were busy working in the aftermath of this assassination of Charlie Kirk, and that FBI personnel in this investigation had to stop and ask around. They had to stop doing their jobs and ask around to find a jacket for him, a medium-sized one that would fit FBI Director Kash Patel. Alpha 99 said that there were many large and extra large FBI raid jackets available. Finally, according to this report, FBI personnel searching for a medium-sized FBI raid jacket that would fit him, it was finally located. And that raid jacket belonged to one of the female FBI special agents. The report said that the jacket belonging to the female was then delivered to Kash Patel on the plane. So he's still on the plane. He won't get off. So they bring it onto the plane. But he was inspecting the jacket. And then he noticed two areas on the upper sleeves near the shoulders that did not have Velcro patches attached. And then Kash Patel then reportedly said he would not leave the aircraft until he had the two patches to cover those areas. And then members of the FBI SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics team, took patches off their own uniforms and ran those patches over to the plane at the airport to put on his jacket. The patches were then attached to the loaner jacket, and Kash Patel disembarked from the plane. And this was the day after it occurred. That's how long it took him to even get there. This is what we're dealing with. Costume time. Julie.
I'm looking. I got to tell you.
What is there to say?
It's all pretend, Michelle.
Yes, it's all happening on TV.
It's all
this
pretend.
Celebrity Apprentice meets the Hunger Games.
It is all pretend. Everybody's cosplaying a role.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they go so far as to get plastic surgery to cosplay a role, like Christy Nome. And I have this policy of not discussing anybody's looks, but this is not about looks.
Those are manufactured though, so I feel like a little bit.
Even if it's manufactured. But I do feel very strongly this is not about looks. This is about how far these people go,
right,
to ingratiate themselves to Donald Trump
and the brand. right? I mean, this is the Mar-a-Lago face
Right.
situation.
You have people like Kash Patel who are cosplaying FBI director because it's more important to them to have the accoutrement of the plane and the jacket than
Yeah.
it is to actually do something like, oh, I don't know, see if somebody got radicalized after they came here, as Christine Ohm said.
Mhm.
In case that would be the FBI's problem, not hers, the FBI's.
Right, and the FBI, maybe if they were doing their jobs, like, would be able to predict things that are happening, like assassinations or murders on the it's they're not doing anything. And again, like, this report tells the story that they had to take FBI agents off the ground that were doing an investigation of an assassination of a political figure to find him a jacket because he was so insecure and so I guess insecure of his like manhood or whatever it is, and somebody made fun of him when he was a little kid, that he didn't want to wear a jacket that was too big for him, or he just didn't want to like leave the plane without one.
Yeah. And
that's he's only doing it for the jacket because he watches Law and Order or whatever else on the movies, and he sees all these important people walking into office buildings with all their FBI jackets. So that's why he wants the job. He wants the job for the jacket. It would be like going to the Masters, not playing, and asking for the green jacket at the end. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to play the game. He just wants the costume. He doesn't want to do the work.
Well, I also, I would be remiss, Michelle, if we didn't talk about what today is, which is that there is a special election happening in Tennessee.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I totally slipped my mind. I was like, today's Tuesday. Wow.
Yes, today's Tuesday. In Tennessee's 7th congressional district. It's a pretty conservative district. It gave Trump about 60% of the vote last November. The reason there's a special election is that Mark Green resigned in July. He also won by about 60%. But Democrats have overperformed and have been performing in elections up and down the country.
Yep.
Since 2024. If you saw the incredible margin that Mikey Sherrill won by in New Jersey, or Abigail Spanberger won in
13,
Virginia.
14 points, something like that. Yeah.
Or Abigail Spanberger won in Virginia, or the fact that in Georgia, Democrats picked up 3 statewide state-level offices. That hasn't happened in 22 years. Or in Mississippi, where they broke the supermajority in the state Senate. Mississippi, I might add. So, Tennessee is a real race, and Democrats and Republicans have been pouring a tremendous amount of money. I want to say that Democrats have overperformed their 2024 margins in special elections this year by an average of 13%.
Yeah.
So he won by 60%. Democrats have been overperforming by 13%. We could all do the math, right? MAGA Inc., which is Trump's super PAC, has been pouring money in. You've got Kamala Harris and Ken Martin came in for the Democratic candidate. Al Gore, AOC, headlined a Zoom rally on Monday. And the race, just to let you know, is between former State Department of General Services Commissioner Matt Van Epps and Democratic State Representative Afton Ben. And this has been all about the cost of living.
Yeah, she has a very simple and effective message. And she says it over and over and over and over again, which is what we should all be doing anyways. But she also, and like, I'm not saying that these things matter in the grand scheme of life. They don't, but in politics, and especially in a place like Tennessee, they matter. She's young. She's vibrant. She's very attractive. She is blonde. She's, there's all these, she's checking a lot of boxes in terms of, what is attractive for a candidate, especially in this environment. And she's very smart. She's smart as a whip, and she goes on TV and she holds people accountable. And I think that the people of her district would be very, very lucky and very smart to elect her.
Now, look, I don't know whether she's going to pull this off because it's a tough district.
Yeah.
But she's going to come close. And I tell you that is going to scare the shit out of Republicans who are probably. There's going to be a lot of retirements after tomorrow.
They're already.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been drip, drip, drip. Did you see the video of Donald Trump Trump Jr.? Oh, I got this.
Hold on. This is how desperate they are.
Yeah.
Junior is having a meltdown, so you got to watch this video.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
God, you want to talk about people with drug problems? Here we go.
And guys, if you're in Tennessee and if you're in the 7th district, or you know someone in that district, or you even know someone in Tennessee who may be in that district, call them. Make sure they get out and vote. Our superpower as conservatives is to sit it out. To say we got what we wanted in the big one for president and we're going to sit everything else out. You may end up with this lunatic representing you. So Tennessee, call everyone you know. If you know someone in the 7th district, get out there and vote. Call them. Apathy will let this person be in charge.
I mean, I don't even think he knows what she's running for, because it's
no clue. No clue.
In charge of what? She'll be a freshman congresswoman. But I mean, Junior. First of all, what is he wearing? Is he wearing like?
I was like, is he in his pajamas? Like, what's happening?
Pajamas. I think I've seen people sleep in that, and not just pajamas, like college level, like pajamas.
Yeah, like the waffle. Like, you know what
I mean?
Like,
waffle thing. Like I got to walk for my
the Henley.
Yeah. Exactly what it is. I'm like, I haven't seen that since the early 90s.
Right.
But Junior has. Yeah.
I like, listen, he looked a little more sober than he normally does on these things, so I'll give him that. But I mean, man, he's just such a caricature of himself. Like, he's another one just playing a part. He's playing a part of rich kid with a daddy issues. And like, you know, I just remember all of his Joe Biden. Like, I can't. He's such failing, not even upwards, just failing. Just, I can't. An untalented, unremarkable, middle-aged man who we have to hear from, unfortunately. You know, anyways, Julie, it is, it's about that time. And I want to just show you what I'm looking at out the back door here. This is what I'm seeing out the back door right now. It is nor'eastering up a storm, pun intended, all across the state of New York. So for that and other reasons, I am not traveling today to not put my life and safety in danger. But tomorrow I'll probably be coming here with you from the car, hopefully. But yeah, it's warm and cozy, and I'm going to have some hot cocoa, and I'm going to curl up and watch some TV and wait. We're going to figure out when we're going to talk to Lieutenant Colonel Urso at some point today. We just have to work on some schedules, but that is why it is so important that everyone like and subscribe to the Mayday Network, because you will be the first to be notified when we schedule these daily dispatches out, where we talk about, breaking news or any specific or relevant topics. I want to say also that we asked for some suggestions of things that you want us to talk about that are outside the breaking news bubble. And we saw some suggestions about climate and other things. And we just want to let you know, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for reaching out and letting us know that. And then we're going to make a concerted effort to make sure that we at least sporadically try to cover more things that are like bigger picture stuff, like climate change, like women's rights, even things like sports and entertainment, maybe movies, TV shows, things like that we're all talking about and that are part of our culture and the things that we care about. So, Julie, anything else?
That's it. All right, everybody. I will see you, and Michelle and I will see you both very soon, maybe later today with Lieutenant Colonel Urso, and certainly tomorrow morning.
Yep. And if there's breaking news, definitely.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.